Okay, we left off at the end of the last video discovering that if we follow the guidelines in the textbook for calculating, my thing froze for a second. If we follow the guidelines in the book for calculating Q1 and Q3, when we had a data set that had 9 numbers, that StatCrunch calculated it a little bit differently. Let me see if I can find StatCrunch. StatCrunch calculated it to the Q1 to be 3. Let me see if I can pull this out and do side by side. StatCrunch calculation for that set of data was 3, whereas we did it by hand and we got 9. Okay, so that was the two. I mean, we got 2.5, 5, and 7.5. They got 3, 5, and 7. So we agree on the median. So what did StatCrunch do? All right, that's what I'm going to show you, what StatCrunch did. So what I have here is I made a list of odd data sets. Okay, and we'll look at this one right here first because that's the one that we're talking about, and I'm going to explain to you what StatCrunch did. So they picked the median to be 5, and that's perfectly okay. But then when they remember, this is what the book says we do. The book says if 5 is our median, then we include the first 4 numbers in the first half. We divide these into 2 parts. We get the numbers before the 5, and then we get the numbers after 5, and then we find the medians of each of those. Well, StatCrunch, instead of just using the first 4 numbers, StatCrunch is making 5 be a part of that first group of numbers, and it's letting 5 belong to this last set of numbers. So it's using the median in each set of numbers. Now, they didn't just make that up. That is an alternative way to do that. And when you include that 5, then you can see that 3 would be the middle of this first 5 set of numbers, and 7 would be the middle. So that would be Q1, this would be Q3. 7 would be the middle of that set of numbers. So that's how StatCrunch is doing that. Okay, now the kicker is if that's how StatCrunch was doing their odd sets every time, that would be okay, but it doesn't. On this data set, if we just have 1 through 7, okay, if we have 7 numbers in our data set, 4 would be the middle number. StatCrunch now goes back to the other method, and it just uses those numbers to say that Q1 is 2 and Q3 is 6. So for odd data sets, the thing that makes me aggravated is that StatCrunch changes the rules. For this set of odd numbers, it does exactly the way it taught us to do, and it leaves the median out. Just like, but for this one, when it has an odd number of data sets, it uses the median. So it's alternating, okay? So this one right here, and I'm going to show you on StatCrunch. Go over here and let me see I don't remember which one this is. So I'm going to scroll over here. Oh, it was this one right here. So let me just delete these 2. And then I'm going to refresh this. And see, now it's showing me I only have 7 numbers. Okay, so this is the one that I did right here. And it's showing me that Q1 is 2 and Q3 is 6. So see, I'm showing you that that's, in order to get that, StatCrunch has to ignore 4. If they had used 4, the median, like they used it right here, then Q1 would have been 2.5, and this one would have been 5.5, because we'd be having that extra number in there. So, yeah, I don't like the fact that it changes its rule. So, having said that, you should kind of be able to make a prediction now. On this one, okay, here's the median right here. And this one, it's not going to use the 6 in the two data sets. And the reason that it's not going to use the 6 is because if we leave the 6 out, we get a nice even middle number. Okay, on this one right here, come on, camera, catch up. On this one right here, it is going to use the 7 because it doesn't want to have to average to find the median. So here it's going to use, this is going to be Q1, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This is going to be Q3. So they're alternating. Here they don't use the median, here they do use the median. Here, and remember our original problem, the original one that we worked right here, had a sample size of 15, and that's why StatCrunch answers matched what the book was doing by hand, because it had 15 numbers, and with 15 numbers in the data set, they don't use the 8. So what StatCrunch is doing when it has an odd number in the data set, it's just making sure that the front half and the second half also have odd numbers in them. And so in order to do that, sometimes it has to use the median. So here it's getting 7 numbers, and here it wants 7 numbers. But up here, if it uses the 6, it would have an even set of numbers, and instead it wants odd. So it's just making sure, what StatCrunch is doing, it's just making sure that once you find the median, that the front half of numbers and the last half of numbers needs to be an odd set of numbers. So 1 through 7 will get me an odd set of numbers, with this one being Q1 and this one being Q3. And if they use the 8 in each one, then we would have an even set of numbers, and it would have to average, and it doesn't want to, I guess. So that's what StatCrunch is doing. Now, I will tell you that all that means is, 1, you need to understand that that's what StatCrunch is doing, and 2, you need to understand that if I tell you that you can use StatCrunch, and I am telling you that you can use StatCrunch, then I will accept whatever answer StatCrunch gives you, okay? But what I don't want, because what I used to teach, and I have taught this class like 3 or 4 times before I realized that StatCrunch was doing it this way. What I do expect you to know is why StatCrunch may get something different than you if you did it by hand following the book rules. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So if you had this set of data right here, this was your homework problem, these 13 problems, and you did it by hand, what you would do, let me get a different color here. If you were following the rules by the book, you would only use this to find your Q1 and Q3, and then your Q1 would be right here in between. Your Q1 would be 3.5. That would be your Q1, because you would not be using the 7. And on this one right here, your Q3 would be right here, which is 10.5. That would be your Q3. So if you're doing it by hand, you might get a different answer, and I just want you to understand why. It's up to you. I mean, if you want to show all your work and always show your work and want it to match StatCrunch, you can remember that. Otherwise, you can follow the rules in the textbook. Either way, it's not gonna matter to me. Okay, so that's where we are. I see Pearson just closed because of inactivity. It just closed down. So let me see where I am. In 9 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video because I think I've explained IQR, how to find Q1 and Q3, and explained StatCrunch. We'll pick up at the beginning of the next video working this problem right here. Okay, that's where we'll start.